Hey guys, morning. How we doing? Oh, come on, you got to be a lot fucking louder than that. How we doing? Yeah? Have you guys had fun the last couple days? Come on, you're not convincing me at all. Yes? We good? Okay, stand up with me, stand up with me. Stand up with me. You've got a couple people next to you, and I want you to do something. Grab somebody next to you and say this: you're awesome. You're awesome. Tim, you're definitely awesome. Okay, let's talk to these ladies over here. You're awesome, ladies.
You're awesome.
Awesome. How'd that feel? How'd that feel? How'd it feel? Do we feel good? Yeah? Should we do some more? If you haven't seen somebody in the back, you got to go see them. Hey, Ryan, definitely awesome. Carrie, Melissa, whoops, I missed that handshake. All of you guys. Dave, Ryan, how are you? Okay. We got a smaller crowd, so I can say hi to all of you. But what's interesting is this idea of being awesome. You can sit down now. You can sit. Sorry, I took a fall last week, so I'm not as active as I usually am. This idea of being awesome. You've heard from a lot of people. Some really great material. And I've traveled the country traveled the world. I was in Dubai last week, traveled the world for the last few years, trying to figure out why some companies explode with massive potential and others just seem to stay stuck. And I'm convinced that companies who know how to be awesome change the entire game. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. You guys up for that? Yeah? Me too. So this is my adorable 6-year-old daughter named Dylan, who every teacher automatically assumes is a boy when they come into her class before they meet her. Here's what's interesting about my 6-year-old daughter is that she knows what awesome is automatically. Any of you have a child like this who's adventurous? Yeah. So not only do they know what awesome is, but they create lots of awesome too. I thought, of all the business leaders that I've had the privilege to talk with and the groups that I've had time to spend with, like yourselves, it's interesting how someone like 6-year-old Dylan illustrates the idea of being awesome just about as good as any business plan I've ever seen. Here's what I mean by that. Here's Dylan right here. So, did you see that look about 6.5 seconds in as she was taking a mallet to her dollhouse? That expression of wonder as she realizes that if you hit it hard enough, long enough, it goes into pieces. Pretty cool, isn't it? No? My wife was like, you're sharing pictures of our daughter destroying property with people. But what's interesting about this is that she knows the things automatically that make her smile. My daughter at 6, when she was born 6 years ago, we had 2 boys. We found out we're having a girl. And as daddy, that's awesome. I love my boys. Well, you got a girl. That's life-changing. That's game-changing. So we made this beautiful room for her, painted the walls, put the stickers on the walls, made it look really amazing. Sadly, my daughter never wants to sleep in her own bedroom. She's either on the couch in our bedroom or in the bed with us. She thought because we had a king-size bed, there was room for 3, plus the little puppies. And 6 years later, she still is not wanting to go in her room. But there's a trick that we've learned to get her to sleep in her own bed, and that's this little invention called the iPad, right? If you have the iPad and you have YouTube, then you automatically know how to get someone to go to sleep. Here's what's really cool. Hang with me for a couple seconds. What's interesting about this is my 6-year-old daughter is amazing at knowing what's awesome, right? And maybe you are too. Have you ever gotten stuck on a channel like this?
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Billy.
That still happens to me, by the way, too. 45 seconds worth of videos, and you've got about 13 examples of awesome. You know those videos collectively, when they're long and drawn out, have over 250 million views that I could find on YouTube alone. My 6-year-old daughter does this when she sees a video she doesn't like. Next, next, next. Watching her use that iPad as she goes to sleep, it's awesome to see that she knows exactly what she's looking for. If it's awesome, she keeps paying attention to it. If it's not awesome, it's quickly off our radar screen. And this is interesting because as a consumer, as a buyer, as someone who makes buying decisions, this is how she will choose to spend her money and her time. If it's awesome, she spends time with it. If it's not awesome, she won't. Here's the problem, is that our businesses have become a little bit like this picture. You look at it, and the more you look at it, you think you know what's there. There's some spinny things. There's some other spinny things. And the more you look at it, the more confused you've become. So you've heard over the last few days from people selling you technology. You've heard from people talking to you about new processes, new ideas, new ways to grow your business, and how you can accelerate from where you are, no pun intended, to get to where you want to be. And what happens in business, unfortunately for us, is that we begin to layer things on. You'll hear one new thing, one new tool, one new hire, one new opportunity, and these pieces get layered on until we look at our business and it looks a little bit confusing. We've got good things there, but the way you arrange them, all arranged, makes it very confusing. And it's very frustrating to look at because you're not sure exactly what you see. How many of you ever found yourself in this situation? Sales aren't going the right direction. One person, that's it. 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Sales aren't going in the right direction. You aren't getting closer to where you want to be, but you're not really sure exactly what to do about it. My friend and one of my employees, Angie, we were strategizing, and she said this quote to me, and I immediately had to write it down and add it to this presentation. She said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Interesting how that works. So today, the whole reason for this backstory is to get to this one point. Today, I want to talk to you about a metric, a measurement that you may not be looking at right now. See, the problem with a lot of the metrics that we use is that we find out if they're working a little bit too late. If I were writing for the Harvard Business Review, I might call these lagging indicators. Sales is a lagging indicator. Well, getting paid is a lagging indicator, right? The last thing that happens is you close a deal. It's hard to measure the impact of your marketing despite all of the metrics and the things that we use to track, like clicks and opens and other bullshit like that, right? Good bullshit, but it's still bullshit. It's hard to know if that's really working how you want it to work until you realize if you try to match it up to a sale. But momentum allows us to bridge the gap between, are we doing things that will end up with awesome results? How many of us, you feel like in your organization right now, say, we're doing a really good job of measuring momentum? Anybody? How many of you, before today, actually were monitoring or managing or discussing or talking about momentum at all? A few of you. How many of you right now in your stomach, put your hand right here, all of you, can feel the momentum you have at your business, momentum you have for your personal life? You can feel it, right? Are you fearful? You've got, butterflies, we might call them, right? Are you happy, excited, right? Maybe you just got lunch in there, who knows? Momentum is one of these factors that we don't measure, and yet it is the single greatest key performance indicator for determining growth. If you have momentum, then you achieve awesomeness. If you don't have momentum, you'll end up failing. You may make money. This isn't a discussion about making money. This is a discussion about achieving something called awesome. And momentum is how we measure it. So I'm going to tell you 2 rules today for how you can create a business or a life or a family or a community. Frankly, these rules apply outside of business. 2 rules to how you can manufacture awesome. See, there's actually a formula. If you look at guys like Dude Perfect, right? You ever been on his channel? Throws a ball 9 billion feet into a hoop, and everyone's celebrating, and you think it's the first time they've ever done it. But there's a formula to creating a Dude Perfect channel. There's a formula for creating a reality show where you're like, oh, is she going to get the rose? Is that going to happen? And then it goes to a commercial, right? And we know there's a formula to get us hooked where we're like, oh, that was awesome. And what if you could actually be the person or the group or the individuals manufacturing awesome? But before we talk about that, we need to make sure you're clear about how you're even going to measure. See, sales aren't going to tell you if you're awesome. Sales are going to tell you what your sales are. And marketing efficiency is not going to tell you if you're awesome. It's going to tell you what your marketing efficiency is. So the only way you're going to know going forward if you're being awesome, if you're trending towards awesomeness, is if you can feel the momentum. What's interesting, a few years ago when Tibet had an earthquake, and Mount Everest, snow off of Mount Everest turned into an avalanche. 4,000 people were killed in this horrific tragedy that happened in Tibet. And Nepal, the whole area, was just a horrible mess. And what's interesting about an earthquake, or an avalanche specifically, is that it's just a snowball that got a little bit too big. It's a snowball that had a little bit of momentum, right? That's it. 4,000 people perished. And not just perished. When we look from space at Mount Everest, it appears to people who make maps and do geography for a living, cartography maybe, that Mount Everest is 10 feet shorter now than it was ever before. Just from this thing that we can't touch or feel called momentum happening under the earth, right? Plates move, it creates earthquakes, which creates avalanches. All of a sudden, things that we can't see or feel have massive impact. So don't let somebody in your office tell you that doesn't matter, we're just managing the numbers. There's a lot of things you can't see that do matter, and momentum is one of them. The first rule to achieving awesome is this, and one that we actually screw up. Number one, be incredibly easy to do business with. Is rule number one, because rule number two needs rule number one to happen. Be incredibly easy to do business with. Companies who are easy to do business with make more money. The companies who make it easy for you to spend your money take more money from you, right? This is not overly difficult. This is just how it is. And if you're worried or concerned that I might be making something up, think about Amazon Prime, right? I'm in Dubai and realized, oh shoot, I'm in my last bottle of deodorant. While I'm in Dubai, I hit the Prime button. When I show up 4 days later, there's a bottle of deodorant like in a box ready for me to take out. I didn't even have to go to the store, right? You can order your groceries, have them delivered to your house. Think about Stripe. Stripe went from nothing to a multi-billion-dollar valuation because they made it easy for people to collect credit cards. I didn't even put Square up there, but how a Square revolutionized how we take transactions. Think about Chick-fil-A. Do you know that Chick-fil-A was the very first fast food restaurant inside of a mall? See, McDonald's said, yeah, we're a $34 billion company and we're not going to make money in a mall. See, people go there to shop, not to eat. But you've seen a McDonald's in there. Before there was McDonald's, did you know that Chick-fil-A was the very, very first restaurant to be inside a mall? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? See, when you make it easy, like Disney does, to put that little bracelet and touch it to the fob, and now you've just paid $59 for a stuffed bear. But for you, it was just touching a little bracelet you had in your hand to a payment system, and now you've spent money. They've made it incredibly easy. And what about Uber? Some of you just take out your phone and hit a button, and a car picks you up, and it connects to a credit card that you forgot you connected, and someone gets paid, and you go where you need to be, and it's just all magical. And what about Betterment, who made it easy for you to invest money? It used to be you had to hire a broker, right? The guy who was always wearing a suit and maybe a napkin, right? And shiny shoes, and he sat you down and gave you this big pitch about your life and your future. We need to get the insurance plan, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to figure out how I can make more money when I'm older than I am right now. That's all I want to do. And Betterment made it easy, where for 0.25%, 0.25%, which is like nothing, you can invest using their smart tools. And one of the mistakes that I see companies making across all industries, but particularly I notice it in automotive, is making it difficult for people to do business with you. I bought a brand new Ford about a year ago. My car's a few years old, and when I'm traveling, probably the worst call you can get is when your wife calls you and says, I'm stuck on the side of the road. Of course, you've got the AAA and all that stuff, and someone eventually will come and help her, but it makes you, as a husband, feel really bad being away. And I thought, well, we probably need a new vehicle. So I bought her a brand new Ford Explorer, and with one of the promotions, I didn't pay any interest or anything like that because my credit, I guess, was decent enough to do that. And they included service and a bunch of stuff in that as well. One thing I really like about my Ford dealership, they've got an amazing car detail service. Again, I told you I have 3 kids. So that car detail service is amazing. They will come and clean. If I have to have somebody clean my car for me, it's like $300. My Ford dealership does it for $110. And I'm telling you, it's as good, even smells like cherries inside. It's amazing. It's great. Here's the problem. I can only take it in on a Wednesday because that's the only time their car detailer is here. And it's like on every 3rd Wednesday, and I randomly know when he's coming, and it just happens that when I am there, I can't really use them. And unfortunately, the dealership close to my house has not charged me for more than 1 car cleaning in the history of me owning my car, because it's really, really, really hard for me to give them my money. But see, at Starbucks, I don't even have to be at Starbucks. I can pull up my phone and say, I'm like 3.25 minutes away. Can you brew this beverage for me and have it waiting so that when I get there, it's already ready for me to put in my lips, right? It's already ready for me to take, and they gladly take my money, all right? All the extra pump charges and flavorings. They're happy to take my money and have my beverage waiting for me right when I'm there. How much more of money or revenue is available in each one of your businesses if you're able to make things incredibly easy to do business with? Of course, Southwest for a long time said no fees. What about Apple? If you've been in an Apple store recently, there's no register, right? There's that Genius bar at the back where really smart dudes are there and they'll help you fix shit. But if you want to buy something, what happens? You go there and say, I want this, and a guy brings his phone up and scans it, and they'll take your credit card right there. There is no register, there's no line, there's no place to wait. You want your product, you get it right away. There's nothing stopping you from spending your money with them. We all know the story about Zappos, but it's on my list as well. Buy something, if you don't like it, send it back in 7 days, and we'll give you your money back. And by the way, it's a tremendous case study that from $1 million to $1 billion in 9 years, and most of us would say, yeah, I'd love to have $1 billion company. And they did it by really making it incredibly easy for people to do business with you. Now, I put my logo up on here because we've done something that I get asked a lot about. We've got a 200% money back guarantee on everything we've done. We're a 7, sometimes 8-digit business, and you might think that's absolutely crazy. But I'll tell you this, for our consulting work, for our speaking work, we have never once in the history of our company ever had to refund someone their money back, ever. Never, 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 never. That's because of rule number 2, but we're still on rule number 1 right now. And so I make it incredibly easy for people to do business with. We don't have contracts. Arnold can tell you, in engaging with me and my speaking team, there's no fancy contracts to sign, no long riders, nothing that complicates the process. Anything you do that adds friction to the process at all causes people to lose credibility about you and causes them to rethink whether they want to spend their money with you or not. There's always somebody that's easier to spend their money with you. Most of us have a line, ethically and morally, about about who we'll spend our money with. But the more you make it difficult for someone to spend their money with you, the less they will. Now, if you happen to be working at a really, really big company who've got a legal department, and they want everything signed, they want it dated right, I understand that this is hard. I appreciate that there are policies and procedures that you have to go through to make sure that you don't accidentally create a lawsuit for the company you work with. But you can surround that process with such tender, loving care, right? With messaging. You can wrap that in messaging, and you can even say to them, listen, of course we've got legal, we're going to have to draft up all this BS, and I appreciate that you're going to have to wait while we get you what you want, but I'm here to help you every step of the way. You don't have to be an entrepreneur with a crazy vision in order to make it incredibly easy for people to do business with you. By the way, this doesn't mean that you have to be connected to your phone and answer your emails 30 seconds after you get one. Being connected is not the same as making it easy for people to do business with you. Okay, it's just not. So you don't have to be someone who's a workaholic. In fact, one of my missions is to only work 4 days a week. For most of you, I can do more work in 4 days than some of you can do in 7. And maybe not for you, but for your people. It's been my study over the last 3 years to do things, what I call, Cal Newport wrote the book, deep work. How can I focus like a laser beam on something for an intense period of time, solve it, and move on? There's not a discussion about that right now. We'll talk about that next week, I guess, at Digital Dealer, if you're coming. But the reality is that most of us spend time in cycles on things that aren't awesome, And one way we do that is making it difficult for people to spend their money with you, right? So think about that. How many of you, let's do an honesty check here, have something right now you know in your business or in your life, personally as a salesperson, that's making it hard for people to spend their money with you? How many? Just keep them up, keep them up. It's okay. It's like a good old Baptist church. Yeah. Look, so for all of you who have your hands up, just take action on it. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Immediately when you go home, put a plan in place to make it incredibly easy for people to do business with you. Don't get in trouble with your company, right? Don't do anything silly that costs you your job or costs you your reputation. But you don't need to do things that slow down the process. The more you make it difficult, the less people feel confident about you. And here is the measuring stick by which all decisions get made. Is it awesome? If it's not, we don't fucking do it. That's it. This revolutionized my company. I went from a small, barely 7-digit company to 10x that, right? 10x that by asking one simple question. Over the last 5.5 years, my clients have added $17 billion in new revenue. $17 billion in new revenue by us helping them ask this one question. How do you measure momentum? You consistently get a yes answer to this question. Is it awesome? Is our website awesome? No? Fix it. Is the sales process awesome? Yes, no. Is the salesperson awesome? Is this technology awesome? Is this process awesome? Is the way this looks awesome? Is the state of our bathroom awesome? Right? Is the commission plan for salespeople awesome? And when you answer the question yes consistently to this question, is it awesome? You find that you not only maintain momentum, but you're able to satisfy the demand for keeping your business easy. Now, let me be honest for a second. How many of you rolled your eyes when I said this metric, is it awesome? Yeah. Some of the rest of you are polite. When I say the measuring stick is awesome, and I get it. Listen, I work with really, really big companies whose presidents get paid millions of dollars a year to be in the C-suite. And when you have some 39-year-old punk who drops F-bombs and tells you just need to be fucking awesome, they roll their eyes and like, who the fuck recommended this guy in the first place? I get it. So if you're thinking that and you want to be polite and not raise your hand, I totally get it. You're forgiven, right? That's okay. But let me express to you the power of this decision-making process. 80% of salespeople don't hit their quota. We still give them quotas. Maybe they shouldn't have a job. Or maybe we should stop giving them quotas and just say, here's your quota. If it's awesome, we do it. If you're acting awesome, you stay. If you're not acting awesome, you go. It's a simplified way of making decisions. I used to get, I'm a creative person from time to time. And my people would be breaking down my doors and say, dude, you got to check out this new web thing we did. Or, we just passed 1 million people on Facebook. We're going to do this thing. We'd have all these celebrations and things. And people would say, do you want to take a look at it? And I got back a big part of my day when I started saying, sure, is it awesome? And if you have to pause, what's the answer? What's the answer if you have to pause? No. Yeah, that's right. It's not awesome if you have to pause. And so immediately I would say, well, why don't you go make it awesome and then bring it back? Now my team, unfortunately, has gotten smart, and I'll say, is it awesome? And they'll go, it's awesome. You might make it more awesome, which is why they want me to look at it, of course. So I have to figure out a way to get around that. But when you ask this question simply, I challenge you, when you go back to your teams, your groups, whether you're a vendor, whether you're a dealer, whatever capacity you're here, when you question everything by this single metric, is it awesome? If the answer is yes, then you're good. If the answer is no, then that's something specifically that you need to commit to fixing. It simplifies the entire process. We have these discussions about salespeople. I know, I sit in them. CEO calls me in and says, I want you to take a look at our sales department and see what we need to do. I'll look at the team and, oh, he's not producing, but he used to produce for us. And if you have salespeople like that, not producing for me, but used to produce. Oh, these guys, they haven't produced yet. Or this used to work. And like that optical illusion, we slow down our own progress by allowing non-awesome things to stay in our business plan. We know someone's not producing, whether it's a life situation or some sort of business obstacle, and we tolerate it. We tolerate bullshit we should never tolerate, and then we wonder, why isn't our business awesome? Why are we struggling? Why can't we find breakthrough in what we're doing? And the reality is, The metrics we're using are flawed. And the only metric that really matters if you're looking for this next level is a clear answer to this question. Is it awesome? How many of you can use this? How many of you would commit to at least one time this week saying, is this awesome? If you're the boss, even if you're a junior person, challenge even your boss. Listen, I don't want to do that. I know you asked me for that. I don't want to do that. It's just not awesome. I'd really like to do something awesome. Would you give me a chance to try something that's awesome, right? By the way, if you're speaking to a boss, he's probably got a lot of experience. He's in his job for a reason. You may not just want to tell him to F off, right? You may just say, can I have a chance to do something awesome? Can I try something awesome, right? You don't have to be a jerk to be awesome. You can phrase it in the right way. Rule number 2. So if you've got it down that you're making it easy for people to do business with you, you might be thinking, well, Dan, they're going to take advantage of me. Like, right, it's so easy. There's no legalese to drop them in, right? There's no process. By the way, one thing I mentioned earlier was our 200% money back guarantee. Another thing I didn't mention to you is that we have no contracts. In fact, I had the president of one of the largest healthcare companies in the world call me, and she said, we've got a problem. We've paid you like several $1 million, and there's no statement of work, and there's no contract, and finance is like wondering if you actually exist. Like, are we embezzling money, or like who are you? She said, I hate to ask you, but could we actually document this process? I said, of course, absolutely. We don't want anyone getting in trouble. But we don't have any contracts. There's no lock-ins. If you don't like it's not clear that we're making you or helping you achieve awesomeness, then you shouldn't spend another penny with us. You might be thinking, oh, that's crazy. Well, we haven't had anyone cancel on us in 8.5 years that we've been doing business. Part of that's because we're really good at making sure you want to be awesome. If you don't really want to be awesome, then we don't want to get in the way and help you do that. So point number 2 is be so awesome people ask for more. How many of you had experience? It doesn't have to even be recently. In a retail environment or shopping experience, maybe it was a place you were spending your money like Disney. That was magical. Think about that for a moment. Just a magical experience. Place where like you gave someone money and you're like, I might have even given you more money, right? That was cool. That was pretty cool. I might have even given you more for that experience. That experience, that feeling, that in your gut is exactly what we want to manufacture. And it's not just me telling you this. Some of the smartest companies in the world, they're already doing this. Some of these companies who made it incredibly easy for you to do business with are also on the same list for being so awesome you ask for more. How many of you have just shopped at Amazon one time? Right? We shop at Amazon 100 times a week, right? And packages just show up, and we're very grateful for that Prime, Amazon Prime, which now covers everything from movies to toothpaste to, I don't know, bowling balls. It's all there. You can find it all in Amazon Prime. Not only is it making it easy, they're incredibly awesome and optimizing how you can find what you need. And think about Google. You know, you can have an email account, a calendar. You can take notes. You can do it all with Google, and most of it's for free. They just give it to you, and we keep coming back and taking more because the products are good enough for us to run our whole business off of. Now, I was telling someone, a nonprofit that I was working for a couple days ago, they've got their whole infrastructure with server systems and all this. I said, why not just go to Google for $5 a month? I have everything I need to run my business, and if I pay $10 a month, I get unlimited storage and a whole bunch of extra features. I don't think you can replicate that level of awesome for $5. And that's the power of companies who just make it incredibly easy to do business with us, and 2, are so awesome that we come back for more. Companies like Grubhub. I got late into my hotel last night, and I was hungry. And I thought, where do I go? From my phone, I can Grubhub, and food's delivered right to my hotel room. Didn't even have to leave. And we talked about Starbucks already. You're going back because they make your coffee and they say your name right, and I love Dunkin' Donuts. But I got to tell you, they're always frowning at me. And when I go into Starbucks, they're happy and smiling and cheerful, and it's great. It's great. Why? It's great because I feel like I'm having an experience. What about Volvo? What about Cadillac, who let you now rent a car, lease a car, all in with insurance, right? Don't even have to pay all this stuff. 1 minute I don't have a car, next minute I'm paying a monthly payment, and now I've got a car. And I can switch that car if I want. And I'm sure there's hang-ups and fine print that we'll find annoying. But the reality is, I'm in and it's easy. And I didn't have a car, and now I have one. Cadillac, according to a couple of my friends who are now using their service in New York City, if they want a different car, they just call their concierge and they get a different car. They're still paying the same flat amount. And it's just kind of awesome, right? And what about Netflix, who used to send you DVDs in the mail? Anyone else pregame it? Like on Tuesday, you went into your account and started making sure you had the right DVDs in there for Saturday to show up. Now we don't even need the DVDs, right? Most of us don't even have that part as part of our package. You just hit a button, and it's the best daycare service in the world, because you can start this at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I could come here, do a keynote, and go home. If I had Netflix on, it would just play nonstop. And of course, now Netflix does that thing where after like 2 hours it says, "Are you still watching?" You know you're vegging when it, like 3 times in a day, like, oh my God, I got to hit the remote, in between episodes that you're watching. But companies like Netflix just make it so awesome we come back. And like, I don't care about half the stuff on Netflix. Like, it's just not my stuff. But there's enough awesomeness there that I come back. I thought it was funny. Last quarter, 2.3 million people in the United States signed up for Netflix, which begs a real question for me is, like, did these people not know Netflix existed previously? Were they paying in a different account? I mean, like, everybody has Netflix. And because they keep creating content and new shows that we all like, we get stuck on, hooked on, whether it's House of Cards or anything else. It's so awesome we come back looking for more. And what about the breakout show of the last decade in Broadway, Hamilton? I mean, that show went bonkers. And I don't care whether you're in Oregon or whether you're here in Denver or whether you're on the East Coast, you've either heard the soundtrack or you've been at a performance or you've had a local version of it at your local performance center. And it's catchy. And I don't even know who Hamilton was. I knew he was like a dude who was part of the America, but now I know his whole story and I'm rapping to it, right? And when you see things like that kind of transcend a moment, they give us clues. They give us clues that we don't always have to be reverent and buttoned up, that there is a place for irreverency, right? There is a place for just changing it up radically. Here we have a very important, I almost said president, a very important political figure who now has rap songs and a fancy Broadway show. It's almost absurd when you explain it like that, right? But the cool part is, it's so awesome. The experience was so awesome. People couldn't stop talking about it. So, one thing I want to share with you is this. That being awesome, doing this, be so awesome people ask for more, isn't you hiring better. One of the things I hear is, oh, we just had better hires. No, that's not your fucking problem. You don't need to hire better people. Yes, that's a ticket to the game. If you have losers, get them out. Right? Do we all agree? Right? I don't think anyone's going to fight me on that. People aren't performing, just get them out. But you're not going to solve your awesomeness problem by making a one more hire. This is not it. We have to coach this behavior. We have to teach it, coach it, and for you in the room who are in leadership, you have to be it. You have to be awesome. I saw Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest soccer players of all time, yesterday. I'm flying up here to Denver. In ESPN replay, had an amazing, did you see that replay? Amazing bicycle kick. He's an old man like we are now, right? He's in his late 30s, and he, in the middle of the penalty box, they volley the ball. He gets completely horizontal and kicks the ball into the net. Beautiful. One of the greatest soccer players of all time. And yet, if you watch his documentary on Netflix, he doesn't make his own food. He's got a nutritionist who makes sure the food he eats is right. He drinks special electrolyte water to make sure his body stays balanced and healthy. He doesn't just say, oh, I hope I stay in shape. That boy rips off his shirt. He's got like 18 abs, right? He's fit and he's muscled, and everything he does is so that when he gets on the field and someone volleys him the ball from 18 yards, he can whip his body around and knock a ball at supersonic speeds into the back of a net. And yet we come to business and say, well, bought some training, hope that works. Got some guys here who need to get off their ass and fucking make some money. Hope it all works, you know. I don't know when we're going to start hiring some people who can actually make a good deal of this. And it's like a mystery to us. It's a mystery. And yet, if we look at what's happening, so a couple things. And I talked earlier, some of you have heard my discussion about meditation, but I'll give it to you quickly here. One of the easiest things you can do, it's a life hack, production hack, productivity hack, is just to get up in the morning and drink some water. You'd be surprised at how dehydrated you are. It's free and it's simple, and unless you're living in like Flint, Michigan, where there's problems with the water, like it's just, you don't even have to buy it out of a fancy bottle like they have in the back. You can just get it out of the tap. It's really easy, right? And it makes everything you do that much more productive. What's interesting is the number one athletic challenge, whether it's college football, whether it's basketball, or whether it's just your local fitness league, the number one fitness hack is water. Because most of us live dehydrated. If you're in the South, we drink this sweet tea. I don't, but my people do. We all drink the sweet tea, and people think, well, there's water in sweet tea, but that's not the type of water we're talking about. We're talking about just plain old water. That sort of water will get you reinvigorated and alive starting at the beginning of the day. I drink about 42 ounces in the morning. It seems like a lot. It's not. You get up, just glug, 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 glug. The first few times I felt my stomach going like, bloop, 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 bloop. But then after that, it felt like a wave of refreshment just falling over my body. It's amazing how a simple life hack like that gets you in the right frame of mind. Let me talk to you about journaling. If it seems like I'm not a journaling type of person, you would be right. I'm like, what is that crap? Who needs journaling? That's for people who are like, in the woods writing poems. That's just not what Dan Waldschmidt does. I run in the woods, but I don't do poems. And then a friend of mine said, listen, you're either a high performer or you're not, and you want to get in the right frame of mind, try journaling a few things. Here are 3 things I'll challenge you to challenge your team or to do yourself. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. When was the last time you proactively thought about all the good shit in your life? I got kids. I can pick on my kids pretty hard. Work harder, play harder, throw the baseball faster, right? Catch that ball, clean up your room. Why do you have a drink in your room? I told you 19 times. We don't have red drinks in our room with carpeting, right? Anyone else fight the same battles? I mean, like I can get on them hardcore. When's the last time I said, I love you, right? I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for how you did this. 3 things you're grateful for. Write down 2 things that would make the day awesome. When's the last time you actually proactively thought, if I did these 2 things, or if these 2 things happened, boy, would my day be amazing. We kind of hope it happens, don't we? Well, I hope I don't get in a bunch of traffic this morning, and I hope that, when I get to office, that guy who was a screwball last night, he's gone his A game today. And it's all about how can we manage the circumstances around us instead of saying, listen, there's actually 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 billion things I could do today, and this would be a fantastic day. It'd be an awesome day. One last thing. I used to tell crowds, write journal myself, what's one thing I could have done better yesterday? And I don't write that down because I don't want you to do that. My therapist said to me, dude, listen, there's always one thing you could have done better yesterday. That's not going to help you grow. You want to grow, you need to change what you manage. He said, I want you to write down every day what's one thing you love about yourself. What's one thing you did yesterday that you're really fucking proud of. Like you ordinarily don't do that thing, but when Sarah said, when are you coming to dinner instead of snapping, I said, I'm coming right now. And I'm proud I did that instead of snapping. Or when my son came and left muddy footprints instead of saying, fuck, dude, come on, man. Instead of saying that, I said, no problem, I got it. I'm going to clean it up. And when I journal these 3 things, it's transformational for my day. How could you have a bad day when you sit down at the beginning of the day and say, here's 3 things I'm grateful for? I don't know if you're like me. Sometimes I look out the back window and my grass is actually green. Like, that's cool, because I spend way too much money on fertilizer and water, these irrigation systems, and like I know that's first world problems, and some of you are thinking that's absolutely bonkers, but it's a war to get your grass green, right? Especially in South Kakalaki where the sun is out. And so I look out there sometimes and I'm like, sweet Jesus, I love it. My grass is green. It may stay that way for 4 more weeks and then turn brown, but at least right now it's green. And you know what? How much better am I as a boss if I wake up smiling and happy, right? And this wasn't an accident. I didn't roll out of bed and say, well, I hope this is the right side of bed. I sat down at a table with a little pad and a pencil, and I said, what am I grateful for? And what do I want to do today to make the day awesome? And what did I do yesterday? I might have made 99 mistakes, but I did this one thing really, 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 really well. Now, how you start the day is how you live the day. There are some of your people who don't know any of this, who don't know this. We employ a lot of millennials. I love my millennials. Some people hate on millennials. I love my millennials. They don't care about money. They care about a cause. We give them a sword. We give them a sword. You've seen that sword from 300? When you come in, it's got your name engraved on it. It's got a Tupac quote. Wars may come and go, but my people are forever. We tell them, look, you're in the fucking army. We're here to take down mediocrity. It's a holy war. It's what we do. Wake up in the morning. How can we be badass? We go to bed. We think about being badass. We wake up in the morning. We're badass again. When you're on the team, you get a sword. When you leave, give me the sword back. You're on somebody else's team. They may not give you a sword. Probably not. They're not cool like we are, right? This is how it happens. I gave people bonuses. People would complain about, why am I only getting this much, right? I give swords. No one complains. They love it. They love it. I tell my millennials, I had to teach my millennials, a good day is not an accident. It's not because you got laid last night or you were at a bar, right, and you had a great time with your buddies. That's not how we run an empire, right? That's not how we run a business. We run a business because we can efficiently and effectively manufacture awesome, and it starts with what goes into my body in the morning with water, right? What goes into my mind as I sit down at a tablet, and then me thinking through the events of the day. A week ago when I was in Dubai and speaking in Dubai to a group of very rich Russian business people. And my translator was a 2.5-hour keynote, and only because every sentence I said, the translator would say in Russian. And so there were no jokes, there's no hanging pauses, there's no long stories. Completely freaked me out. I'm a professional. I want to do the best I can to help out amazing people like you. I'm sitting here thinking, what can I do? Like, there's just nothing I can do. I don't even know how to hack this event because, like, everything I've known, it's gone. And so I sat down and had to talk myself through this situation. What would I do if I wanted to be effective but only had a sentence at a time? I took everything that was complex and I threw it away, and I went with the basics. And I got to tell you, it was probably one of the best events I've done in a couple years. Maybe because my expectations were low, I don't know. Maybe because the audience, was eating it up. But I went from this experience that could have gone sideways, could have been negative, because my head was saying, I don't belong here. These people don't even speak my language, right? Literally don't speak my language. How can I make it better? And I had to talk myself through this. It's not an accident. Being awesome isn't an accident. It's a process. Now, as we were joking earlier about meditation, if it seems like I'm frantic and always on the move, you would be mostly correct about that. One thing I've learned, though, is I have to recharge my brain. I'm someone who can say things and like my brain is catching up to me, and often that overload causes things to short circuit. And so what I'll do in the middle of the day is I'll use this app called Brain.fm. It's free, I think, and then there's a paid option somewhere. But Brain.fm, it has several features. One of them is sleeping. I'll use it to sleep, especially if I'm in a different time zone or on a plane and things are weird. It uses something called binaural audio waves. One sound in one ear, one sound in the other ear. It kind of does a mishmash between your brain, which is right in the middle, hopefully, and automatically puts you in that frame of mind. It has a focus, it has a sleep, it has a meditation. 10 or 15 minutes, you put those earbuds in your ears, you'll leave feeling like you might have just had a nap. It's only been 15 minutes. It's only been 15 minutes. Again, refreshment is not an accident. I didn't say, oh, I hope I close my eyes and I hope I'm refreshed 15 minutes automatically from now. It's putting earbuds in ears. It's finding the spot that's quiet. It's sitting in a chair the way that I'm used to sitting in a chair. It's expecting from myself 15 minutes from now, I'm going to come out one more badass dude than I was 15 minutes from now. Right? It's getting recharged for the second half of the day. Some part of that is visualization. Listen, if you can't see success, you won't achieve success. Some of you aren't as successful as you want to be because in your mind you can't see it. And that may sound foo-foo or fluffy or fake or funny or phony or something like that, a lot of F's there. But the reality is you have to visualize success. What does that mean? You can't see yourself crossing the finish line. Your body won't find its way across the finish line. Every success you've ever had is because you visualized how you would get there. Some of you thought, I can't do this, but then your brain started thinking about, well, what if you could? I'm not meant to do this, but then your brain said, well, but what if I could? And some of you thought, well, I'm not the type of person who can do this, but then your brain automatically said, well, wait a minute, what if you could? And that began a process of you visualizing. Now, what if you could do that proactively? What if you could sit in a chair for 5 minutes and say, I've got 3 meetings, and here's what I want to happen. On this call, I want this to go this way, and on this, I want that to go, and on this last one, I want this to happen. Let it be. And you've already been prepared. Sadly, most of us run from meeting to meeting, call to call. I'm guilty. And I'm like, what am I here for? Was I supposed to be prepared? Because I'm not. Was there supposed to be a presentation? Because there's not. And I hope I'm here to do whatever you want me to do, and I'm not visualize success, and a lot of those calls are a waste of my time. Maybe you've found yourself in a similar situation from time to time. So we have to visualize success, and that's what helps doing it. I use the end of the day to do exercise. I use kind of I jokingly say if you're on Facebook or Twitter, you'll see me say rage run. I use a lot of my rage or frustration, confusion, working with clients. I mean, all day long I'm putting out fires for other people, and it kind of builds up. At the end of the day, I go out and run, and that allows me to find some opportunity to kind of let all that go. If you don't have a release, you're going to take that out on your wife or your husband or your kids, right? Or you're going to take it out on a bottle of wine or food you shouldn't be eating, right? Or too much of something that's good now turns into something bad because you need a release, right, from your day, your stress, your chaos. I don't care whether it's hot yoga because I'm injured. I was in the gym, wherever I'm staying in this hotel, with a medicine ball, like trying to do these exercises. And I'm not like a well-balanced person, literally and figuratively, neither. And I'm like holding this medicine ball trying to do these exercises while people are on treadmills doing all their fanciness. And I thought that's what I could do. And in 30 minutes, I think I let some of the rage go. I realized that I have work to do if I need to be more balanced. But simple things like that allow you to give thought about the frustrations. Again, if you let frustration build up, it's going to stay there. Frustration doesn't magically go away. And here's the same thing. Some of you know this. You'll go to sleep frustrated. You'll wake up more frustrated because you spent the night tossing and turning. You didn't get enough sleep. Plus, you're frustrated from what happened yesterday. You just 2x'd all the problem. You could have killed it a day ago by just working that out on a heavy bag, right? Or something. Do some push-ups. Again, I want to stress this to you. Awesome is not a miracle. Awesome is not luck. Awesome is a process. And if it can help Ronaldo get horizontal 9 feet into the air to kick a soccer ball into a goal, when both ball and him are moving in opposite directions, it's exactly what's going to help you run your business and in your life right toward a successful conclusion. Of course, maximize the sleep. I think we all try to maximize our sleep. Sadly, we fail a lot, but at least we're trying to maximize the amount of time that we have. I want to stress one more thing. You don't have to be perfect to be awesome. I kindly remind this to my wife all the time. Because there are times where I am fabulously awesome, and there are a lot of times where I am not perfect, and they all happen at the same time. Some of you have an employee who could be awesome, but they're not perfect. And all of us in this room are not perfect. You may be thinking, I would do that, but that's not for me. And I can't stress enough. Some of you will stop in the middle, in the pathway, on the precipice of being awesome, and not get across the finish line because you think you have to be perfect. There's no requirement to go to church to be awesome, right? Or to love God, or to have some sort of religious experience in your life to be absolutely fucking awesome. And by the way, look at a lot of our politicians and look at our business leaders who have accomplished something pretty darn awesome and have a few or a dozen or more dozens skeletons in the closets, right? You with me? You hear me? Preach, preach, preach. You don't need to be perfect. You've got people on your team who can be awesome. You've got you, your kids, your community, your dealership, your company. You can be awesome, and that still means from time to time, people are going to screw up. And we forgive them in the quest of being awesome. You with me? You really with me? Yeah? Give me a yes? Yes, yes, yes? Okay, this is important. This is important because there is no rule that says only perfect people get to be awesome. No, flawed, ridiculously petty, passive-aggressive, angry, small-minded, bitter people can do something absolutely awesome. And they can do it at the exact same time as being all of those bad things as being those good things. So remember that. Remember that. The person that's ready to break out to be awesome could be one of these guys who's your biggest fool right now. And for some of you, you're stopping yourself from being awesome because you think, well, if I didn't have this bad habit, I would be awesome. If I didn't do this thing, I'd probably be out there running, or I'd probably be doing this thing. So, you don't have to be perfect. I go on, but quickly, I'm racing against this clock right here. One thing I want to share with you, if you're wondering how you can be awesome, I'm not selling you anything. If you go to this link right here, every audience that I speak to across the world, we have a custom landing page We've got our calendar of awesome, 450,000 people a month grab our free calendar of awesomeness. If you want to do the things that I'm suggesting in the previous slides about having a day of awesomeness, every day you'll get a sheet to fill out. I challenge your team. We have a standing prize. I'll give you $10,000 if you can tell me any one of your people have filled out a sheet in truth, in sincerity, who filled out 30 days worth of sheets and can tell me they didn't have an awesome end of the month. It's impossible. Won't happen. Can't happen. It's illegal in like 40 countries. No, it's not illegal. Just kidding. You can't fill out a calendar of awesomeness and not have it. So we've provided some of those things for you absolutely free. If you go to that link just for you, you won't see anybody else's stuff. That we have posters for the wall you can print out that are free that remind you to be awesome, that have our ethos branded along with that. Now, before we go on, I want to, look, I am infatuated with this idea of awesome. I am halfway through my second book called The Law of Awesome. My first book, Edgy Conversations, sold 500,000 copies. And after you sell 550,000 copies of a book, your publisher has expectations. So you should write a second book. I'm thinking, I'm not even sure I can write a book that takes us a step further. And then I realized, people don't want to be edgy just for the sake of being edgy. I don't get on stage and drop an F-bomb so that I'm trying to be cool. Some of you are offended, or some audiences I am. I had someone leave me a handwritten note on a table that just said, I don't see how you can call yourself a Christian when you drop an F-bomb. And that was her opinion. What I want to get across for you is that for some of you, you need a perspective change. And from time to time, when we see something awesome, it gives us this beautiful opportunity to realize, how could that work for me? How could that be something that radically changes what I'm doing? So when you see things that are awesome, whether it's a dude perfect video, whether it's something else in your day, it could be a picture, could be some art, could be how someone said something. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm in a conversation, I'm like, say that again, say that thing again, that was awesome. Hold on, I got to grab a pen and paper, I got to write that down and share that with people because it's awesome. And when your measuring stick is this, is it awesome? It just changes everything. Speaking of that, perhaps there's no better example than the story that you probably have seen or heard many, many times.
Only the hard and strong may call themselves Spartans. Only the hard, only the strong. We march for our lands, for our families, for our freedoms. We march.
Naxos. What a pleasant surprise. This morning's full of surprises, Leonidas.
We've been tricked. You wondered. This is a surprise.
Silence. We heard Sparta was on the warpath. We were eager to join forces.
If it is blood you seek, you're welcome to join us.
But you bring only this handful of soldiers against Xerxes? You see, I was wrong to expect Sparta's commitment to at least match our own.
Doesn't it? You, there. What is your profession?
I'm a potter.
And you, Arcadian, what is your profession?
Sculptor, sir.
You?
Blacksmith.
Spartans! What is your profession? See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.
That sums it up, isn't it? For some of you, you've been measuring things like body count, revenue per salesperson. You've been optimizing marketing, and that's all great. You've been looking at how you can scale and grow, how we can get better return on investment. For some of you, you've been missing something that's been right under your nose all along. How can we measure something else? How can we be absolutely awesome? And I think no matter what type of business you're in and what leadership role you're in, your commitment to being awesome can create a movement that's just as legendary as what those Spartans did. 300 men against 2 million of Xerxes' soldiers. But it only happened because you had guys like Leonidas, leaders like Leonidas, who said, we're going to do some weird things. We're going to measure some different things. We're going to be a little bit of screwball and oddball. But at the end of the day, when you need help, we've got a team of people. So join me. Stand up for a second. I think if it's good enough for the Spartans, we're going to go who? Ready? You ready? Who? Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.